Hello, I'm Richard Chambers, President and CEO of the Institute of Internal Auditors, and this is my continuing series on insights and advice in which I examine important issues related to internal auditing and risk. Today, I'm joined by Anthony Pugliese, current President and CEO of the California Society of CPAs, also known as CalCPA, the nation's largest state organization of CPAs. Anthony's career spans more than 3 decades, including key leadership positions at IICPA, the world's largest accounting professional organization. His roles there included Executive Vice President of Membership, Technology and Learning, Chief Operating Officer, and Senior Vice President. Anthony joined CalCPA a couple of years ago and immediately stepped on the gas, reversing years of declining revenue and reinvigorating Learning Solutions chapter engagement and membership. In January of this year, his success didn't go without notice, and the IIA announced that Anthony would become the IIA's new president and CEO after I announced plans several months ago to step down after 12 incredibly rewarding years. Anthony, welcome today and welcome to the IIA.
Thank you very much, Richard. It's great to be here.
Anthony, you have a reputation as a highly skilled association strategist with a deep passion for innovation and technological advancement. Both of those things have been critical in a year in which agility and thinking outside the box and turning to solutions and technology have been critical, not just for success, but for many organizations for their mere survival. For our internal auditor audience today, how important are innovation and technological acumen to our profession's future?
Technology has gone from being a way of increasing efficiency to something that's far more transformative across business. And it's really across every profession, whether we're talking about the engineering profession, the medical profession, dental profession, and certainly our profession overall. And being a part of that transformation allows the internal audit profession a unique position in the business community, because we truly are, as we all know, the only organizations that represents people that see the depth and scope of an entire company. And that allows us to have a unique perspective on how technology is used, both in the transformational aspect and strategy, and also in the risk identification part of it. A lot of technologies, including artificial intelligence as an example, poses a lot of improvement, a lot of transformational capability, but it also has a lot of risks that are associated with using it correctly, and how it's used strategically within an organization. And there are other technologies like blockchain, which are, if used properly, an amazing way to deter fraud. And I could go on and on, but technology has really become transformational and key to strategy versus just being used as a way of increasing efficiency and effectiveness. So that's a big answer to that, but that's one of the aspects I look at when I think of technology now.
I think it's spot on, Anthony. From everything we're seeing, the profession around the world is trying really hard to take that next step forward. And as I've often commented, I think the next decade, that torch is going to pass to a new generation of tech savvy and tech fearless leaders. And I think the kind of emphasis that you're describing there is going to be so critical to our success. Anthony, your leadership at CalCPA and then before that at IICPA position you really well for this role at the IIA and leading a global organization as complex as ours. As our audience knows, the practice of internal audit has at its very foundation globally accepted and recognized standards. However, while there's a common playbook and issues around the world, this profession also faces unique challenges on a local, national, and even a regional basis. How can the IIA and internal auditors be effective and relevant in furthering the profession's mission to enhance and protect organizational value?
Well, again, I think there are very few roles within an organization that allows you to see the full scope and breadth of what a company does. And helping business and the business community and other bodies, whether we're talking regulatory bodies or otherwise, understand that internal audit is so much more than financial controls. And actually, we do so much more in terms of adding value to a business from every facet, whether we're looking at strategy or risk mitigation or risk identification to begin with, and so many other things that we bring to the table that in and of itself increases the relevancy of what we do. I think the key is getting that message out and dispelling some of the, like all aspects of our profession. There are certain stereotypes that we want to definitely do away with because we know they're not true and we know they're not really adequately representing the value we bring. And I think, again, on the technology front, moving in and embracing some of the disruptive aspects of business today, and being able to guide management and boards and audit committees through things like technology disruption is going to be huge in positioning us for, ongoing relevancy and just tremendous value drivers within a company. So I think a lot of that comes to play. When I think about relevancy, continuing to kind of bust the stereotypes that kind of follow our profession, and other professions, they simply aren't true anymore. And embracing technology and using that to the advantage of an organization, those are key.
So true. Anthony, the word culture has become an important part of the internal audit vocabulary the last few years, as internal auditors are increasingly asked to look at organizational culture. You have a deep passion for a culture that promotes empowerment, diversity, and achievement. I note that last year, in the wake of the death of George Floyd and many other racially charged incidents here in the United States, you led development of a diversity, equity, and inclusion committee at Cal CPA. That effort led to research partnership with the Institute of Management Accountants that I think really revealed some great challenges in the accounting profession. Tell us what your goals were there and how you think racial and other inequities might be addressed in the internal audit profession going forward.
Sure, and it very much a passion of mine. The work we did at Cal CPA with the Institute of Management Accountants was really to try to look at research that would be a little bit more telling than things that have been done in the past. And we've wanted to build upon research that's been done in the past. And I think the most surprising thing we uncovered is the fact that, maybe we've gotten better as an overall profession in terms of bringing in underrepresented populations, but we haven't done much better, if at all, in terms of bringing those individuals all the way up into key senior management roles. And in fact, those levels of management still are significantly in need of having underrepresented populations in them. So I think the step is understanding, why is that happening? Why are we now seeing more underrepresented populations moving into the profession, but not staying? At the end of the day, they're simply not staying. And why is that? And uncovering real actionable steps to help understand the problem and actually turn that trend around. And I won't say we've figured out what those action steps are, but one of them I know is awareness. I think looking at diversity, equity, and inclusion, and talking about it, talking about the problem and making sure everyone understands what's going on there is key to the problem. And then taking action steps that are unique to each organization's culture. So I think, whether we're looking at, race, gender, sexual orientation, culture, it's just very important that we understand what turns certain populations on and what turns them off. And what are they seeing that we're not seeing, perhaps? And I also look at DE&I initiatives as they're the right thing to do, but they're also paramount to our success because it's a business issue. At the end of the day, if we don't have enough people moving into our profession, we've got a problem. And I hate using the word minority populations because almost every population we're talking about is anything but a minority population. It's probably a majority population. But the issue is, why aren't they moving into our profession? Whereas the medical profession and legal profession doesn't see this problem, anywhere near as much as we do. So we have some challenges, and I think we have a lot of opportunity to move on them and discuss steps that'll actually change the problem.
Well, I think it's a very worthwhile objective, and I know that you're anxious to get started. And you and I have been meeting frequently. We meet regularly, and our formal transition, will start here in a few days and lead right up to the 31st of March, which is when I leave the IA. I know you're excited. Any parting thoughts for our audience about your excitement or your enthusiasm for taking on the role?
I'm very excited. I'm also, really excited about looking at how our learning solutions are positioned in the market and making sure all the things that we've spoken about, whether it's technology or diversity, equity, inclusion, and other things, that we actually translate a lot of that really effectively into how our members learn. And I'm a firm believer that learning can be fun. And when people have fun learning, they tend to absorb a lot more than they otherwise would. So that might be one thought about some of the objectives I have in the coming years, is to build on some of the work you've done, obviously, and to start doing some things around learning and technology. So very excited. Thank you.
Great. Well, Anthony, thanks for joining me today. I may be getting ready to hand the baton over to you, but I look forward to helping you and supporting the IA in any way I can going forward. And I'm wishing you and the entire team only the best as we move through the remainder of the decade, the new decade. So thanks again for joining us. And I'm Richard Chambers, President and CEO of the Institute of Internal Auditors.